NFL Power Rankings entering Week 3 coming at you guys right now. We'll begin with the New York Jets. I think they're pretty bad at football. Adam Gase should probably be fired. Moving on to number 31, the New York Giants. They lose Saquon Barkley. We stick in East Rutherford for our bottom two teams. The Bengals check in at number 30. Look, Joe Burrow's the guy, I think, long-term, but that offensive line is so putrid, they're not going to win anywhere near enough games to move up significantly, I believe, in the rankings. The Dolphins, they check in here at number 29. I think they'll be good in the long term, too. Can't wait to see Tua, but they have not looked very good to open up the season. The Carolina Panthers, as the injury bug hits a lot of NFL teams, they check in at number 28. They lose Christian McCaffrey. They could potentially be in tank for Trevor Lawrence range. The Eagles at number 27. Now, look, I think they're a little bit low. We do a team combined power rankings here at Chat Sports. I'm not going to say who had the Eagles even lower, Harrison, but Carson Wentz has been bad. There's no way around it. He has looked surprisingly, woefully ineffective. Like, he started the year so good against Washington in that first half, and since then, he looks like a shell of his former self. It's concerning, and the question around Eagles fans that I've seen asked many a time on our shows here is it time for Jalen Hurts? Now, I think the answer here is no, but the Eagles have invited this controversy because they spent a second-round pick on him. That's concerning, so get your votes in. 1 for yes or 0 for no. The Lions at number 26, they legitimately should be at least 1-1. They never should have lost to the Bears, but Matt Patricia continues to find creative ways to lose games. The Denver Broncos, they are at number 25 here. Producer Sam in shambles over all of their injuries. I would not be surprised if they continue to slide in the wrong direction. They're bringing in Blake Bortles for a visit. Maybe they'll end up signing him. So is your team fairly ranked? I know you guys want to have them just a few spots higher no matter what team you're a fan of. Even if you're the Chiefs or the Ravens, they should be 0 somehow. So is your team fairly ranked? If you think so, well, do us a favor and like this video. If you don't think so, that's okay. We want to hear your opinions. Go ahead and dislike it instead. The Minnesota Vikings, they check in here at number 24. They just, yikes. I mean, the defense can't stop anyone, and Kirk Cousins went from actually playing, I thought, pretty well last year in a play-action-heavy offense to, outside of Adam Thielen, apparently having 0 confidence in his receivers. It's been bad for Kirk Cousins. It's been bad for Carson Wentz. They have to get better. Minnesota looking so bad through the first 2 weeks is a major surprise to me. But what is the biggest surprise through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season? You can go positive or negative here. From a negative perspective, I think it's the Eagles. From a positive perspective, how about those Las Vegas Raiders? But I want to hear from you guys. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down to the pinned comment and let me know your biggest surprise for the first 2 weeks. Number 23, the Atlanta Falcons. They should be 1-1, but much like Matt Patricia, Dan Quinn also finding creative ways to lose. All right, our first team with a victory here, that is the Cleveland Browns, number 22, 1-1. They looked horrible against the Ravens, held on against the Cincinnati Bengals. They're at number 22. The Washington football team, they are at number 21. They beat the Eagles, that matters, but I'm not convinced the Browns or Washington are going to be legitimate playoff threats. Maybe the Browns can figure things out, but the rest of the staff here, even though I buy, the rest of the staff not feeling it. The Colts check in now at number 20. Bad loss against the Jacksonville Jags. However, they played quite well against the Minnesota Vikings, picking up a much-needed Week 2 victory. Jonathan Taylor subbing in for the injured Marlon Mack. He was going to be the future for this Colts team on the ground. Well, he has quickly become the present now. The Vikings, again, we mentioned them. Ooh, yikes, not a good showing at all. Rivers is still, I think, kind of getting his feet set in Indianapolis. They needed that win, and they cruised to 1 over the Minnesota Vikings. The Texans at 0-2, but remember, if you want to go the quality loss route, I mean, Houston has the best ones out there, Ravens and Chiefs, but the schedule doesn't get any easier, at least in the immediate future. Now, if you're going to go to an NFL game this year, Cowboys fans are allowed to go. Chiefs fans have already been allowed to go. Head over to chatsports.com/stay safe and get yourself an NFL face mask. A lot of these multi-pack ones, the 2-packs, the 3-packs, the 4-packs, they're actually on sale for 20% off. So head over to chatsports.com/stay safe. Get yourself an NFL-themed face mask today. I will put that link for you guys in the comments and in the description, so all you guys have to do is click and go shop. Jacksonville, they check in at number 18. Look, head-to-head matters right now, folks. That's why the Jags are ahead of the Colts ahead of the Vikings, all of that. They check in at 18. The Cowboys go to number 17, just outside the top half of our NFL power rankings. Look, they should have lost. I am the first to admit that. They had no business somehow, some way pulling off one of the most improbable comebacks we've seen since the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead. 40-39, Greg Zuerlein, the onside kick and the game winner. Dak Prescott carried the offense. I thought the Cowboys shouldn't have won, but they move up to 17 on our list. The Chicago Bears, they check in here at number 16, 2-0. They should have lost against the Lions. They barely held on against the New York Giants. Once again, folks, I take no responsibility for what I consider to be the outright disrespect of the Chicago Bears. I think they should be a few spots higher, but let me know what you guys think. Which team or teams are we disrespecting right now? Again, I don't want to throw shade at anyone. Mitch, he had the Bears outside the top 15, the only one of the voters who had them that low. The LA Chargers check in at 15. Yeah, see, this was my issue. I think the Bears and Chargers should be flipped, but we are a community-driven channel, so that's what happened here. The Chargers, frankly, should have won that game too. They had the Chiefs on the ropes. Justin Herbert looked so impressive in that game, but they come up just short. If they keep that up, though, this will be a legitimate playoff threat in the AFC West. Number 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They took down the Panthers. They lost week 1. It's going to take a little bit of time for, I think, Brady to get fully comfortable with his new offense and the players and all of that, but the Bucs are in an okay shape. The Niners, meanwhile, I still think they're a talented team, but there are so many injuries for this group. I mean, Nick Bosa's out for the year. Raheem Mostert, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tevin Coleman are all banged up right now. The Niners have been decimated by injuries. We're not going to knock them too much for that, but it is something to monitor. How does this team handle being out so many key players already this season? Number 12, the New Orleans Saints. They were in our top 5 last week. They plummeted because they lost to the Raiders, who we'll talk more about in a second. Meanwhile, the Sunday Night Football loser, the New England Patriots, they check in at number 11. Now, they lost that game, and of course, that's why they're outside the top 10. But I'll tell you what, the Patriots played pretty damn well. I thought Cam Newton was incredible, and if they had been able to capitalize on that goal line play, the Seahawks was called the perfect defense to stop it. It happens. Sometimes you lose what is more or less a rock, paper, scissors scenario there. If the Patriots win that game, they might have been the top 5 of our rankings here entering NFL Week 3. So I'm not out on New England, especially as long as Cam Newton keeps up that level of play. The Rams, they check in at number 10. They've beaten up on 2 NFC East teams. Maybe they're back. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. The Raiders check in at number 9. They took down a top 5, really consensus team in the NFL at home to open up week 1. I was very impressed by the performance that the Raiders had. Frankly, I thought this was one of the better efforts that the Raiders have put together in quite a while. I was super impressed, pretty much from offense to defense. Yeah, I know the Saints didn't have Michael Thomas, and Drew Brees didn't look quite himself. Derek Carr had one of his better games. The ground game was effective. Shout out Darren Waller. The defense stood strong. I'm not sure I'm going to fully buy the Raiders as a legitimate NFC West threat, but with that win, I think it is fair to consider them a legitimate playoff threat. And if you get into playoffs, we've seen crazy stuff happen. So get your votes in here. Are the Raiders a legit threat? Type Y for yes or type N for no. At number 8, the Tennessee Titans. They are 2-0. Couple narrow wins, but narrow wins still count. The same is true here for our number 7 team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, also undefeated. They almost blew it against Denver, but they held on for that win, and that's what matters. Let's go now to number 6, the Arizona Cardinals. Nice win over the Niners, just beat the pants off Washington. The 6 through 11, 12-ish range is a little muddy for me. I think there's a tier break, though, at number 5, at least from my viewpoint, the Buffalo Bills. You guys know how I feel about Josh Allen. I've said before I didn't like him coming out. Has to be a better player. If the Bills get this Josh Allen for the entire season, I know they've only played against the Dolphins and the Jets, and those aren't exactly very good football teams. But if you get this Josh Allen, who is just above 60% completions, he's above 70%, not only will Josh Allen be an MVP candidate, the Bills are going to be fighting for the Chiefs-Ravens number 1 seed. Now, we'll see if Allen keeps it up, but so far, he's been incredible. The Packers, they check in here at number 4. I mean, 2 pretty easy wins so far. I've been very impressed. The offense is clicking. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones. They were a regression candidate, but if they're blowing teams out, you don't have to worry about it. So far, so good for Green Bay. The Seahawks, they check in here at number 3. And again, once for me, I think those top 3 teams, it's super close. You can make arguments, even for Green Bay, too, to be number 1. Russell Wilson. The Seahawks have allowed Russ to cook, and look what happens. Now, I'll say this right now. There's no way that Wilson completes 80% of his passes for the rest of the season. Absolutely no chance. But he's been incredible. I hope Seattle says, oh my gosh, we finally figured it out. Letting Russ cook is wonderful. If he keeps this up, he's going to win MVP this season. So before we get to the top 2 teams, you guys should know the order here. Is it the Chiefs or the Ravens? Type C for Kansas City or type R for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last week, we had the Chiefs above the Ravens. However, this week, there has been a change here. The Chiefs have dropped the number 2 spot, and the Ravens have taken over the top spot. Now, again, team voting here. I actually stuck with the Chiefs ahead of the Ravens, but I was outvoted. But you know what the best part of this is, folks? Is that even if you think it's the Chiefs or even if you think it's the Ravens, we're going to know for certain. Because guess what? That's the Monday Night Football game this week. The Chiefs against the Ravens. The Ravens are at home. I can't wait to watch that one. And you can bet Tuesday morning after that game, we'll have a fresh batch of NFL Power Rankings.